You can't, if you could change, you would, but you can't. So we're here today to be new, and I want you to have a new vision. And it's no accident that you're here with the amazing team NuVision. This is me versus me, and I want you all to work on you harder than you do this business. And as you heard up here, you will attract everything else. Men, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. I know men don't tell each other they love them enough, but I learned it from my father-in-law that it's okay to tell a man, I love you. And it's unconditional love. And I want us to have that type of love for one another. Amen. So that we can continue to elevate each other and lead with love, not with jealousy, hate, or competition. We can all get there together. Thank you guys for being here. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you guys over time.
Because I wanted to meet Mr. Eddie Bills because they told me when he was on vacation that he wanted to get to that 100K. And I asked Angel Steve, I said, what was he doing up late at night? You know, and that's what I wanted to learn. That was my reason for coming here today. But when Mr. Kelly said that he was cutting her, and he had to stop that whole weekend, 30 Friday, Saturday, that's good day for barbers. And he told me what's the difference in him being here. And I'm like, I'm on disability. And so I got all these dream killers, they in my way. Oh man, you can't do this, do this. So like the brother said, you gotta get away from the environment.
Later walking away from that job to a six-figure income and the youngest millionaire in this company. I was still me, but I was growing constantly and I was pointing at other people. That's it. Uniform. Then your business will reflect it over a period of time. Can I say that? I just said it, so I'm just letting you know. I'm being real because we're all men, right? And we got to stand on something, right? So we know what our weaknesses are. We know what our mistakes are. We know what all of our shortcomings are. We feel it in our gut. So we know what we need to do or how we need to move, right? I know the mistakes I made. So for this man to say that he will allow us, right, I've made, whatever I made in Legal Shield last year, I made more outside of Legal Shield, PPL outside Legal Shield, all of them, right, combined. I made more outside of it. Just in the first, June? First 6 months of this year. I made more than whatever ring you see on that poster out there, just through investments. So let me, now, and I don't say that for applause, I say it because guess what? I'm still here. Like I'm all in. The seed is here. The seed is here. Because the other investments, the other opportunities would never have existed without the source, right? Without being connected. Does that make sense? So some of us are looking for a different blessing, and we don't know that you're already inside of it, right? We're looking for something. It's just not wrapped in the package that you think it is. But it also, you have to understand that you're a part of something that is so much bigger than you when the leadership has no fear of you not being here. This event would be the exact same if I wasn't here this weekend. If Alistair Edwards, God forbid, had missed this weekend, it would be the exact same. If you missed it, it would be the exact same. Why? Because the head is running, right? It's the totality of all of us. We make this event what it is, but again, it's run a certain way, right? It's a system that's in place. So know what you're a part of first, and trust me, that's all you need right there. Because once you can identify and show people what you're a part of is bigger than you, then it's not just what are you doing this time. It's man, where did you find this? How did you become part of this? So just know what you're a part of and what this means. And I think as you're able to tell the story, that's the other thing. As I was telling everybody else's story, it wasn't about me. I started telling stories. And because you have a multitude of success stories, not just on this stage, but in and throughout this audience, right? Because you have so many success stories, and I got good at telling those stories, I was able to become one of those stories. Does that make sense? And that's what will happen for you. As you start to tell other people's story, then you're telling the story of someone who you've helped, just like you identified, Mr. Bird and Mr. Self, Rayvon Self, and so on. Then you're telling their story, then while they're telling your story, now you're telling someone's story on your team, and guess what? You're moving along the same way. I never tried to branch outside of Mr. Self. Never. I didn't. I knew that I was number one at being number two. And I was 1,000% okay with that. Because I don't want I don't want what he does. I like being Mike Henry. It feels good to be me. I love my life, right? Now, do we always agree? Probably most times, but you would never, ever, ever see me deviate from something that he's doing. Ever. Publicly, absolutely not. Because what he does, and he's done it today, and Mr. Evans, let me just say this, and this is just a sidebar. This man just stood on this stage earlier and talked about how we can generate money, investments, right? That he will privy us to. I could stop right there. Think about how many companies, he has no fear that you will make more money outside of PPL outside than you will inside, and you'll walk away. Because guess what? More than half of you will. Because you're not all the way in. But in terms of really creating your own brand within, you kind of had two questions. Being a serial entrepreneur, as I was, and Mr. Self was, that's how TNV was created. Because it wasn't about a company at that point. We knew who we were, we knew what we wanted, we knew it started with faith and family, finance, and then ultimately fitness and right, all of that. So because of that, because that was the foundation that we were built on, we knew we could market bottled air and we were gonna be successful. Like at some point, the shift took place and we started to know that whatever it was, we were gonna be successful. And we wanted to do it the right way, how we define the right way. So I think that's the first thing, is so that people, family, because my family looked at me a certain way, my friends looked at me a certain way, right? Like, now where you going this time? Now you're doing this. Oh, you're a lawyer now, right? That's kind of what I went through. So I had to have them to look at me differently. The only way they could look at me differently is because I had to take it off of me. And I had to become someone different. It's just that simple. I had to give them something different. I had to come back different. Like, I would go to the barbershop. Most would go to the barbershop however you go, right? If you're coming from work. I came from work in a postal uniform. I would go put a suit on to go to the barbershop. I really wanted everyone to start to see me differently, right? So I worked differently. It wasn't just an act. I had to become. And I think that's kind of what you just heard from Mr. Larry. So the to answer your first question, is get grounded in the fact that this is what Team NuVision is. Get grounded in who we are, what we stand for. That's what is attractive to people, right? People are not just attracted to opportunity, they're attracted to this culture. You could spend I've seen people spend 5 times as much to come to just a men's event. This men's event is included in the weekend, right? I've spent this much to go to a men's event, right? That didn't give me
Okay. My question is kind of directly toward Mr. Humes and Mr. Self. So first I want to give a shout out to Mr. Bird, Mr. Elam, who helped me get here, and Mr. Rayvon himself over there. So my question is to, like in my family, I'm considered a serial entrepreneur. And so they're every time I'm like excited about the next thing, I'm like, I'm going to Maryland to get more information about my business. Oh, here he goes again. You know, it's that same kind of concept. So my question is, how do you build a self-brand within not only Legal Shield, within Team and Team NuVision, but also enough that you are growing within yourself, but you're also defining yourself. Like, how did you, pretty much, I'm gonna ask Mr. Humes, like, how did you grow that you are like the social media king kind of person, and yourself as the, you know, I use Mr. Self, so.
Yeah, social media king is definitely Mr. Self.
I'm so excited. You know, Daniel Fong is fantastic. Y'all know that, right? And so you had a concern about the different things that's happening with the company, how to get a new associate started. Right, this weekend, I'm like, I hear it coming out of Mr. Humes tomorrow. Right, tomorrow, everything that you need, right, you're going to get it this weekend. We do have a single system. That system actually never changes. It never changes, no matter what's actually happening inside the company. When things change, it's no problem, because the system, right, the Team NuVision system to build has never wavered. And so I'm so excited that you're going to learn that. And so weekends like this is all about marking the X, and you're going to be able to do it this weekend. So we're going to celebrate you.
Working as at FedEx, and I wanted to be in management, and I just would say, hey, listen, I want to be a manager, I want to be a manager, and I want to be a manager. And I would say that all the time. I want to be a manager. What I got to do to be a manager? What I got to do to be a manager? And then one of my managers above said to me one day, he said, if you want to be a manager, you need to just be a manager. And I said, what? He said, you got to be a manager before you can be a manager. And so I had to realize that I had to be a ring earner before I could be a ring earner. So before I could see it or be it, I had to see it, hear, and believe it, and I had to embrace it and be it. You know, I just couldn't hit it. I had to achieve it and I had to be it. But I know that for me, my wife made $100,000 plus in her job. I made $100,000 plus in my job. And for years I would say, why can't we get this stupid ring? It's just $100,000. You know, that was, at that time, there was no $50,000 ring. So it just seemed like, what was wrong that we couldn't get, that was the way I said it, this stupid ring, okay? And then I had to look back and say, okay, why don't you just think about getting the ring stupid? Okay? And so I had to turn it back to myself and realize that it was about me. And so I became my #1 project to fix myself, okay? Because I felt also that I had to get better so that I could be better to be suitable to carry the ring, okay? Because I would say, all right, if Mr. Self makes 10 times more than me, is it because he's 10 times better than me? I don't think so. But maybe he is 10 times more consistent than me, and his mindset is 10 times greater than my mindset. The good thing is I could change that. And when I started changing my mindset, I didn't have to try to search for the quest of the ring. It came. It came, and it just didn't. And you know, once we achieved the ring, we never fell back. We never made less than that 100,000 from the time that we got it. So it took all of that time to try to get it, and then never fell back. Why? Because the mindset shifted. And so for me, for anybody else, wherever else I am, it's just a mindset shift away from the next one and the next one and the next one. And so it's just a matter of me searching inside of me for me to figure out how to be the best that I could be for the place that I am trying to go. When I was in...
If I've been here for 14 years, if I didn't believe in the leadership, this business, the membership, I wouldn't be here this long. I've personally recruited well over, I think, 450. Been in PCQ the whole entire time. Personally developed the whole 9 yards. I feel like I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do, and yet it took me 10 years to find a Todd Doyle. It took me 14 years to get to the 50K. I do not want to take another 10 years to find another Todd Doyle and another 14 years to get to the 100K. Question for me is like, how do you know, because I'm in the awareness, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know about yourself. And so I don't know where to investigate. And what do I need to do in order to earn the eyes of my upper leadership to go into like, let's analyze you and your business and take it to the next step. And the other thing is, I don't know if anyone feels as confused as I am, because I don't even know what to do with a brand new associate anymore. There's so many systems, and now when we have the merger, now it's like a new system that I'm starting to learn all over again. There's things like change so much that I don't, honestly, it's like, how do I lead someone that I don't even know how to lead through myself? Does that make sense?
Can I take part of
Average, you know, he has this awesome phrase that says, and the good news is, he says that, so the real good news is this, is that we're one of the vital few companies that has a product that people would even keep for 20 years. Does that make sense? Guys, so there's really no discussion. If they have products people will keep for 5 years, but we have one of the vital few that people would even keep for 20 years. So we're not playing with people, guys. This thing is real easy.
And I think the whole thing about our business is posture. Mr. Self, I'm gonna ask you to read these last two right here. Just read that for me. I showed this to Michael. And I want you to read the comment that lady just wrote. This was on LinkedIn. I got this on LinkedIn this morning.
Thank you. The one where it says, "Hi, Alistair."
Yeah.
"Hi, Alistair. My children are aging out of my plan, and I would like to get them covered. Can you please advise me?" with her number. "I got my plan with you in 2006. And you put, "Yes, of course. Just have them sign up for their own plan."
Here's what you go talk to. Everybody's selling a potion, a lotion, a shirt, a t-shirt. Hey, once you sell that shirt, can that shirt fit somebody else? Don't get me wrong. I have a t-shirt brand. I sell it. But my core business is my Legal Shield business. I don't have to convince any. She said she signed up in 2006. I hadn't spoken to her since when? 2006. She looked me up on LinkedIn, thanked me for, that means Legal Shield did such a good job that she thinks I'm the hero. That's crazy. And I'm such a hero that she wants her kids to get it from me. You all are just not talking to enough people. And I'll wait till my training, because I can go in all day. Well, even though it's, someone says, well, it's just a 20-year residual income, I'm just trying to figure out what you got now that's gonna give you that. So let's start there. Let's start there. But here's the good news. I've been in the business 19 years. It'll be 20 years coming up. So even if I was on the new comp plan, meaning that my residual, you would say, well, you're about to start running out. No, I'm only running out from year one. I still got a year left from year two. I still got 20 years left from this year. But I also recruited a Martavius Hillman, who I'm hoping that I pour enough into him to where he sees himself having a what? A 20-year plus career. So even if I decide to stop, I'm still getting overrides on my new person that's going to be producing for what? 20 more years. And 20 years from now, he's probably going to find someone that he's going to pour enough in to where he wants to walk away, and this brand new person, 20, 40, whatever, is going to say, I'm going to be here for 20 years. I'm still a part of that upline. I'm still going to get what? People, we weren't about the wrong thing. All I want you to say to people in your presentation, look, do the numbers matter or do the results? That's the question I ask people. Do the numbers matter or the results? If I told you you were going to get 50%, but you don't go out and sell a membership, it doesn't matter.
Oh, man.
It doesn't matter. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to partner with me. Let's work together for the next 3 to 6 months. See what your initial income is, and see if you're willing to build a business that can give you lifetime residual income. Let's start there.
Other amount of percentage after your first year. And I understand the idea how a lot of things are moving towards subscription-based model. So I kind of threw out an analogy. Imagine you can build your own membership base. So let's just say you're making $10 a membership, times that by 100 memberships. What is that, like what, $10,000 or whatever? And that's your monthly recurring revenue. And I use Netflix as an example. So he asked me for the dollar amount, but I couldn't give it to him. And I want to add that into my presentation. So I was just wondering, what are different people saying when it comes to residuals? That way I can translate that language to what people are used to, the Netflix, the YouTube, all these subscription Hulus. You can build your own membership base here. So that was my question.
First of all, I'm going to be training on that in detail tomorrow night at 7. Okay? But just to give you, so you know, everything depends on who you're talking to. Some want to know dollar amounts, some want to know percentages. If you're talking with an insurance agent or someone like that, they're going to want to know percentages. What's my percentage? So for example, if you are a director, you're going to make around 35, 38% of the annual premium paid to you in an advance commission or as earned commission, whichever you choose. Year 2, you're going to get 20% of what you were paid year 1. So if you made $140, you're going to get 20% of $140 when you made the sale year 2. 10% is going to be paid to you immediately. The other 10% is going to be broken down throughout the 12 months. So the $14.10 that's left over is going to be divided by 12, about $1.18 per month for that year for the next 20 years. And for the next, so from year 3 to year 20, you're getting 10% of what you earned of year 1. Everybody clear? So I'll have that in detail for you tomorrow. So, but here's what I want you to understand. I don't care whether you're team building or whether you're doing direct sales. The goal in this business is empower and protect more people with our membership and find a few more people that want to empower and protect more people with the membership.
So, you know, you made the reference to now that there's BLS and things like that, right? The system is the same. The skills and strategies to succeed, it's never changed. Even though the resources and tools may change, the system never changes. So it doesn't matter how long you sit out. And that's a big misunderstanding about this. So we're gonna build this thing for the next 50 years off the same system, off the same system.
Awesome.
My sincere belief is this team, this leadership, this family is going to take this company into all-out massive momentum. And I believe we'll do more volume as a company in the next 5 years than we've done in the last 50 years combined. We all need to get on it now.
All right, I'll be really quick. I've been here 3 years, it's gonna be in August. And I'm $400,000 ring earner. Just think about it.
So I have a technical question. All right, so I did a presentation. I'm trying to get better at presenting. And so that's been like my biggest weakness. And a gentleman asked me, this is more of a residual question, Mr. Edwards, as well.
Defined by what you do right now. And the analogy I want to give you is those old school water pumps, right? You're priming the pump, priming, and you don't see any water. The water is making its way up from the well, right? And what happens when you stop?
You go back down.
Oh, I'm back at it. Okay, it's going up the well. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. Never see any water. You know what I did? I got some duct tape. I put my hand on the pump, and I glued my hand to the pump. And at some point, once the water starts coming out, it takes far less effort, right? Far less effort, and the water will keep coming out. You don't have to reprime the pump, as long as you just stay consistent with whatever cadence you can commit to.
Come next year. But guess what? You can't control that, but you can control who you prospect today. You can control who else you call today. Don't wait on him. He can come along for the ride if he chooses to, but not because you waited on him, because he jumped aboard a train that was already going 80 miles per hour, which is you, bro. You got this. 5 years. Go hard.
Your gap, so, you know, I called, my director wasn't in, the partner wasn't in, so I called Mark Eldridge, and he'll tell you, I've been on the phone with him for almost every other day doing 3-way calls, and we got somebody signed up. Last week? Yeah, he's on fire. So I was trying to get him here, but he said he gonna make the next one. So it was really about how do I bridge the gap for somebody who's been out for about 5 years, back in, and you know, because most of you all have been in 20 years, and so what could be given to me as a gem or a nugget that could bridge that gap, because a lot of things have changed, especially with LS Engage. So I'm still learning that platform. I use it, but I'm just still learning. So that was kind of my question about for any of you guys.
What I would say, first and foremost,
Thank you, I appreciate that. Let me just say this to you, brother, because, and I appreciate you bringing this up. So yes, most of these folks have been up here 20 years. And I heard this guy trying to start a rumor about TNV. And he was like, yeah, if you're gonna make any money, all those guys have been around for 20 years, you gotta be around for 20 years before you can make any money. But it's not the truth. Because the truth is we made all our money in 3 years. We just been living off that same money for 17 more years. You know what I mean? So you can paint any narrative you want, not you, but them. But it only takes you any 5 years. So if you take off 5, come back, give it everything you have like it's your first 5 years, brother. I would give it I would forget your last 5 years. They don't exist anymore. But your next 5 years will be determined by what you do starting today. Like not tomorrow, today determines your next 5 years. The moment you take one more day is a moment you're more delayed, and the moment you're more delayed is a moment you're more likely not to ever do anything. So today I would prospect somebody. Today I would make another call. Today I would recruit somebody else with Mr. Mark Eldridge on a 3-way call. So you're actually doing the perfect thing because you're like, you know what? Yes, I took a 5-year gap, but who cares? Today, the brother who didn't come, he may not.
Don't drop it. Now, my question's been answered. Now, Juan went from Houston, Texas, between Mr. Brown, Mr. Humes, and then you. You just answered my question, so I'm just glad I didn't want to go sit down, but I appreciate what you said. So, appreciate that.
Mr. Larry's back first. You just can't talk anything about Mr. Larry in the Atlanta market and I not check you. It's the same thing about Mr. Self. It's the same thing about Mr. Humes. There's a level of respect that I have for these gentlemen up here because they've earned it. Because they've been able to pour into my life, share with me. I'm just asking that each one of you, before you get to the next level, start respecting yourself and respecting those that give you the privilege to be at their level. Because if you had the answer, you'd have been speaking from up here instead of sitting from down there. As you get into the inner circle, even when you get the $50,000 ring, I just be right up front with you. There's the ringer in the group, and then there's the circle. You get in the circle when you respect the circle. If he throws a yacht party for 50 people and then spends extra to have 2 jet skis come out, and there are 50 people on the boat and we only got an hour, your mind should always say, let me be selfless and realize I'm gonna get my 10 minutes, get my little footage, but I'm bringing it back so someone else can have the same what? Experience. Right. There is a mindset that you have to change if you want to go above 6 figures. You have to respect the situation and the industry and understand where the information is coming from. People always say, Alistair, man, we need to plug into your team call. I said, great. Sunday, 8 p.m. I've been in 22 years. I have yet to have a team call. I am a part of Team NuVision. When I post my team. Now, it's his team. He's doing all of the, but if he has opened the door for you to be a part of the organization and giving you a platform to use to grow your organization, the least you could do is respect it. So a lot of the reasons why your business is not growing, because it's all about you. The minute you realize that there are other people involved, I have to be good in public, not because I may look bad, it's because if I look bad, Mr. Larry's in my market also, and they're gonna say Legal Shield. Them Legal Shield people. So I have to be good wherever I go, not because it's just Alistair's business, because I know Mr. Melvin Larry's in Atlanta also. And if I hear something about Mr. Larry, I need to check it there with them, and then I can call Mr. Larry and say, hey, a situation came up, I need you to know, I want you to be aware, but the person that brought things that I did wrong, I needed to do wrong to learn how to do them right. I think where most people make the mistake though is they do it wrong and don't even stop to evaluate what I did wrong. So I want you all to take the time to figure out, if for those of you that have been in the business a while, ask yourself, why am I not on the stage with those guys right now? You have to ask yourself an honest question, right? And self-evaluate. There are a couple things that I changed in my business that changed my business. First of all, there's a certain level of respect I had to give the person that was giving me the leadership to grow my business. So I think God knew years ago to name this man Self, because he is selfless. And so I'm the one that's gonna say things that some people are probably afraid to say. So let me just flat out say, until you all get a level of respect, your income won't go up. So I'm giving you simple things. If this man pays thousands of dollars to put on an event like this, and at the end of a session he says, hey, we need the room cleared, first let me ask this, which one of you in here are leaders? So if you're a man in here, I should have saw every hand go up. So that means we set the tone, we set the example. If he says, I need the room cleared, every one of us should grab our stuff and tell everybody else on our team, hey, if you need to talk to me, we're gonna talk where? Room needs to be cleared. There's a reason it needs to be cleared. There's a schedule that has been put in place for your benefit, for your team's benefit. Respect it. If you're in the event, here's where I see a lot of people mess up. You come to an event to get the answers you've been asking for. He's put together an amazing lineup, an amazing schedule, but you have a sidebar conversation while the information is being coming from the stage. All right, come on. Not only did you screw it up for yourself, you screwed it up for the person you're having a conversation with, and you screwed it up for everybody that was sitting in the area that was distracted.
Me versus me. When you get home, every one of us, when we go home, you were given something today when you came in here. It's on your wrist.
A few TNV events, my wife and a few of the team members were putting together a hip-hop dance choreography thing for the team event. And so my wife was getting together with a few of these people in our condo in LA, and they had to clear out some space so they can like dance and do their thing. So she had this plant that was given to her as a gift years ago, and all it grew was these 2 feet tall, 2 inch wide green blades of grass. And so, you know, she moved the tables and she put that plant outside. It was indoors this whole time. So she put the plant outside, and when she put everything back together, she left the plant outside. She forgot about it. So a few weeks passed, and I come home from my weekly briefing, and I look out in the patio, and I noticed that there was a stem about 1 inch thick, about 2.5 feet tall, that grew from the plant, and it started to flower. And the flower was like the size of my hand. And I turned to my wife and said, babe, that plant is just like Legal Shield. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, that plant was indoors all these years and it never flowered because the environment that it was in was not conducive to achieving its full potential. And so if you were to put that plant back indoors, it would never flower again. But we left it outside, and the next season, 2 big flowers grew. The next season, 3 big flowers grew. The next season, 4 big flowers grew. The point of my story is that environment matters. And I know some of us, you know, we went through an education system. We were taught to follow instructions and just do our job and work independently. But we're in the people business. This is an environment business. And so never neglect the assembly. So for the gentleman that said, hey, I come to a big event, I'm all fired up, I'm excited, I go back home, it fizzles out after like 48, 72 hours, what do? I subject myself to the environment. I show up at the assembly. I don't neglect the assembly, because if I neglect it, maybe I don't need the environment, but guess what? Most people that will join your team, they need the environment. And in the absence of their environment, guess what? They probably won't flower.
It's almost like, hey family, how y'all feel? All right, good, phenomenal. It's almost like what Reverend Hughes did. It's almost a question back to my brother as well. And I know he went back to his seat, but you know what Mr. Brown just mentioned is so key. It goes back to your why. And I know coming to event after event after event, starting out where I'm sharing a room with Mr. Self and not just us and other guys, and just, you know, knowing why I came to that event, knowing what I was sacrificing to attend that event. And so there was no way I was going to leave that event and not have something to show for it, that I was going to go back home and get suspended from my job, have the family laughing at me, have, my boys laughing at me, and come back and not have some success to speak of it. So you've almost got to ask yourself, and it's a great question, we all got to ask ourselves, what is going to be different for those of us who have been to events before? What's going to be different when we leave this event? Like, that's a question we need to write down and ask ourselves. I ask myself that question. What am I going to do differently when I leave this event? What do I expect to take from this event? Right? We've got to ask ourselves that question because, again, just know that life is going to life. Life is going to be lifing when we leave here, right? It's going to happen. It was happening to me on my way here, right? It was happening to me all week. It's happening to all of us at the same time. The great thing, and Mr. Brown just elaborated on it, is the fact that we do have a family. And when you know that that's what's happening, for me, I just look at it like the devil is always going to overplay his hand. Because I know that something's going to happen. I'm prepared for it, so I know coming out of it what I need to do. So ask yourself, what do I need to do different so that those situations don't continue to occur when I leave an event where I start to lose my enthusiasm? Mr. Self, you said it. Who are you talking to? Who's your associations? I already know who my associations are. I know who I'm talking to. I know who I'm game planning with. So I have to leave this event at 150 so I can start dealing with the life situations and then deal with the organizational situations that occur as well and come out of here and kill it, right? That's what we do.
And you go home and you got your best foot forward, but then it dwindles down. Then you like, okay, let me go to the Super Saturday or let me go to this next event, and then you get the same momentum and it dwindles. I just want your perspective on what it is that I may be missing or what got you over that hump.
I mean, I'll just say this. I mean, that's a great question, and I can speak with personal experience, and that is you got to remind yourself of your why. Because at the end of the day, you're going to have your ups and downs. But when you have your why, even right now, I'm nervous being right here. You know what I mean? But I'm honored to be with my brothers. You know what I mean? Because we're a family. And when you get to a point where it's bigger than you, you don't care about what people think. I don't care about what people think. You just got to show up and be prepared. You got to, I can't put it no more blunt. You know what I mean? So there's times I wasn't on the calls. There's times I didn't attend a briefing. But you know what? At the end of the day, when you work on you, when you get this right, everything else will come. See, when you get this right, the income will come. The association will come. But you got to get this right first. And at the end of the day, it's time for you to shine. I love my mentors and my colleagues and my family. But at the end of the day, when I get up in the morning, when I make the calls, when I start to work on me, they don't hold my hands. This is why this business is, if you look at it, independent associate. You're the CEO of your brand, and you got to take ownership of that. So I'll just say this and I'm done talking because I know my colleagues got something to say. But when you understand your tribe, like my daughter, my family, my Legal Shield family, I don't care what people don't think. When you do what you need to do, other people will follow. But you just got to work on you. You got to trust in the leadership. That's it.
Next question is, I was presented with Legal Shield, but down the line, after watching some Zoom and YouTube, I come to the team NuVision. Now, I'm trying to figure out, what is that? Is that something I'm trying to sell to, or, see, I don't know. I see a lot of members, I spoke to a lot through my girlfriend next door, but my whole thing is, I hear different phrases, LSI, and I'm like, what is all this? And I guess my overall thing as a first event, what will I have to do it? Do y'all have a manual, where you can sit down and read this?
We got you, bro. Don't worry about it. We got you. Yeah, we got you. Just to answer your question, PPLSI is the corporate brand. PPLSI, like IBM's a corporate brand, but then IBM can sell different product brands. So PPLSI sells a product brand of Legal Shield and a product brand of ID Shield. And the reason why it's smart to create a corporate brand is because if you want to create different products, you don't want your product and your company to have the same brand. Because it's like, are you Legal Shield or do you sell Legal Shield? So when you create a corporate brand, whether it be Nabisco or whatever, you can create whatever chips, whatever crackers, any type of product. So if we want a home shield, ID shield, we can create any shield we want when you separate your brand from the corporate, from product brand. That's what that is. And then yes, we have a manual, and yes, Team NuVision is the fastest growing, best growing team ever to exist in this entire space. That's what you're a part of, brother.
So I've played for Flint Williams, the Great Lakes State of Michigan.
Of your own efforts. Thanks. I love it. I love it.
The first one is, do you have to become, or do you have to bring somebody in as an associate in order to see an income down the line? Or can they just come for the Legal Shield services or the ID Shield? Because I'm under the impression that a person has to become an associate. And I like to know, what is the difference? First question.
Let me answer that one real quickly. The answer is, all you have to do is market a membership to make money here. In fact, we don't make money when you recruit. You only make money if the person you recruit actually markets a membership. So only when memberships move. So there are folks up here who make a lot of money by just marketing memberships, right? You can actually earn a six-figure income here without recruiting anybody, which is unique to our space. So just so you know. But if you want to be a McDonald's owner with a McDonald's on every corner, then you recruit. If you're good with just the cars that drive past that one street, but I want McDonald's on every corner, so no cars drive without passing by one of my McDonald's.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason you recruit. Yes, Mr. Hebner wants to answer that one too.
My first month in the business, I had an opportunity to meet Mr. Dave Sabula, who at the time was the #1 income earner. He was making a six-figure weekly on an Azure Bezos or something. And I asked him, I said, I know you can make good money retailing. I understand people making great money selling to small businesses or as employee benefit. Where should I devote my time? And he told me, build the team, build the team, build the team. Most will be spare time. Some will go part-time. Handful will go full-time. Some are going to market to small businesses, others as an employee benefit. And you don't discriminate where the overrides come from.
I love it. And that's where I'm very careful hanging out with people who have dwarf goals and low-sighted, driven. Never, I'm gonna stop. I'm about to say something while he wasn't polite. All right, so hopefully I help you out, Mr. Wilmer. Oh, yes.
Who's excited about hearing?
Oh.
Right, we're good. All right. Who just got excited about hearing Mr. Self answer that question? Right? See that thing right there, that's the thing, right? Mr. Paul DeMond gave us a pamphlet called That's Something. You remember that? Right, That's Something. Right, that's something right there. Mr. Hamid acknowledged it, and then Mr. Self gave it. Like, we get on airplanes and we trust the pilots that you never even speak to, right? Here with us, we don't only get to hear Mr. Self, we get to speak to Mr. Self. And that belief that I have in him is enough. How about you?
Yes.
Right? How about you?
Yes.
And he's always so excited about what's coming next. As if he's brand new. All the time, he's always, and he asks us to trust him, and I've always loved and appreciated that about him, because he's man enough to say, look, trust me. Right? Can you become that person? Do you believe in that manner that you're willing to ask people to trust you? And he's always in that zone. He's always in that mode. And for me, he makes it so easy for me to talk to anybody in the industry, anybody who's looking at our opportunity. He makes everything so easy for me. I'm telling you, he makes everything so easy for us. And that's why, for me, I just celebrated my 23rd year with Legal Shield, because of that for me, right, and Mr. Self and Mr. Henry.
Gave me the insight and belief of where we're headed, because I got to sit in the rooms with the investors who put in hundreds of millions of dollars, because the people don't give up $650 million because they believe the business is going down. And then another investor will come on top of that and put in $1.2 billion, and now a $2 billion valuation. So you're not watching new investors. These new investors are looking at, hey, if I'm putting up $2 billion, It's because I expect to see $3 billion. They're not putting it up. You don't put up $2 billion because you want to make $1.2 billion, because for them, that's not enough.
Right.
You guys get what I'm saying? So because I'm in those rooms and they're talking about, okay, so how do we take it from this valuation to $3 billion? I already know how much commissions that is for us to go up $1 billion in their valuation. It's a lot of money, right? And so we went from 1.6% or so market penetration to a little bit over 2% market penetration, and the team got paid almost $500 million.
Oh yeah.
I can't even imagine where we're gonna go when we go from 2.5% penetration to 4% market penetration. It's enough for all of you guys to make $1 million. You know what I mean? So that's right. That's why I can't sleep at night, because I know when I'm able to help people put an extra $10,000, $20,000 away and watch that money grow for 4 or 5 years and don't touch it. In the way investments are today, forget the stock market investment. I'm talking about real hedge fund investments that are bringing people back 10, 20, 30% a month on their money. Everybody up here can have $10 million in an account.
Yeah.
And everybody out here can have millions of dollars in an account. It's just that you got to start thinking that, man, I'm connected to the right people. And for me, my belief will always come from consistent wins and who I'm connected to.
That's to help us kind of stay focused no matter what's going on, whether retention, this and that, or you miss a trip. Heck, I missed a trip, right? Because my retention wasn't there. But I still believe, sir. So if you believe, you know what I'm saying? If you still have the trust, or Mr. Hume still have the trust, I'm with you, right? And I just want, if you could maybe share with us so we can continue to move on, because I'm still moving on full steam ahead no matter what's happening. I believe I'm very optimistic. It's going to be better. But I just want to hear it maybe from you or maybe from some of the other leaders that we still have a good thing with PPLSI.
Absolutely. Great question. Give it up for Mr. Muhammad. And one of the things that Brother Mari Hughes says, you got to be honest with yourself. And you know, if that's a barrier for you, if you're feeling like, I wonder if there's still an opportunity for me to make big money here. You got to be honest with yourself that that's what's bothering you and perhaps holding you back, is because maybe you don't believe there's a potential for you to make $80,000 a month, $100,000 a month, or whatever your big goals are, right? And so that comes from one, a lack of consistent wins. We start to wonder if we could ever get consistent wins. It also comes from a connection and relationship to people you talk to most. So one, from consistent wins, it causes you to believe that bigger wins are coming because, man, I'm winning every month at $1,000 a month. 2 is coming. But if you're going from 1,000 to 500 to 200, you start wondering if you can ever get to 1,500, whatever the amount of money is. So number one, consistent wins help me out with that, which I'll be training on this weekend. Number two, my connection, right? And even if you don't have a connection, who you're connected to, who has a connection, helps you out. And I know Mr. Humes would say that. Right, so I actually sit in the board meetings of PPLSI. And so I'm the only one who's actually, well now Don Thompson, in the board meetings for a long time that's actively building a business.
Whether it be COVID, changing up the guard within our company, a lot of anxiety, right? A lot of mistrust, even from the house.
Whatever type of vehicle that I want. My son, right, drives a luxury vehicle. And then he went on to say that my grandchildren will likely be able to drive a Maserati, Lamborghini, whatever they want to drive, but my great-grandchild will likely be walking again. Right, because when you don't understand the history and where you came from, when it's given to you, when things are a little bit easier, it's difficult to really embrace and understand what it took to get to the place where you have the liberties that you have today. And what I need everybody here to know is that Team NuVision has gone through a ton of different things in order to be the massive organization that it is today, but also to still stay cohesive. And it's taken incredible leadership. It's taken long nights, absolutely. So I bring this up, right? Number one, so that we have deference for what we have currently, that we don't disregard the brand because we all represent it, right? My children, when they walk out the house, you ain't you represent me. Everybody, when you walk out, you a Kelly. And you got to know that, right? Because whatever you do also is a reflection on, so same here. But how many of us would agree that building business in 2022 is a little difficult?
Like it's hard. You can be honest, right? It's hard. Like, man, I know, like this weekend, everything will be amazing. We high five and everything's good. But as soon as you walk out that door and start building again, you're like, it's difficult out here. People ain't as excited as I am, right? But you choose your heart. And here's what I need you to know. I started in 2003. I know I don't look like it, right? 2003, I was 27 when I first got started. And my goal then, when I got involved, because I wanted to be like people like Mr. Humes and Mrs. Self and Kevin Mack, and I'm like, man, these dudes is amazing. So I wanted to be impressive, like I felt like they were. But I've learned today that it's more about impact than it is about being impressive. So today, I just want to share with you, right, that when we think about hard, how much is it to get started in business right now? $50. It was $249 when we got started, okay? Every meeting we attended, we had to drive and pay at the door to participate. $5 to $10, right? 15 to 20 to go to a Super Saturday, and it was 100 to 200 to get to an event like this one, along with everything else that you had to pay for to get there. And people still built teams in an amazing way. Every tool we passed out cost us. How much does it cost you on your Prospect by Legal Shield to press the button? Nothing. Nothing? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. I'm just trying to be quick. I need you to put this in perspective. Every time we made a call during peak time, it cost us per minute. Anybody remember $1,000 cell phone bills, right, while we were building it too? I would tell my mama, look, call me after 7. But if a prospect was calling, I was picking up the phone during peak time. I'm just trying to get you to understand what I'm talking about, right? Every time we presented, we had to go to the person. So if you were building long distance, right, there was a time gap on being able to build a business where today we literally can build. Like I had a new associate that just joined the day before, my little cousin. He had people in 3 different states on the Zoom. So he built his business in 3 different states on his first day. Dang. Almost impossible to do that when we first got started, right? So now 80% of your business should be outside of your backyard within your first 2 years. But listen, when we had to be with someone when we were writing their application, did you know that we didn't have anything online when we first got started? This was 2003, so I know 98. And, right, you had to purchase a $10 to $25 UPS FedEx package to overnight the app so you could get paid daily. Everybody with me? To qualify ED, we had to write 75 individual applications. Under a director leg. Everybody with me? Right? And some of you that are brand new have no idea what we're talking about right now. And it was 12 months before you could get a performance club check. Yep. And now they're resetting it to where you can actually just get started getting your first month and they take you back to wherever you were and things of that nature, right? So why am I bringing this up? Is because, again, you choose your heart. If people, when it was 75 applications, could get to executive director, and right now it's less than 30, really, when you're thinking about it, every one of us can decide to turn it up a notch in order to be able to accomplish that. So I'm just bringing these things up to bring to your awareness that it's up to you to decide what you view as hard, because if you can't see it right, you won't be able to say it right to somebody else. Everybody with me? If you don't see it right, you won't be able to say it right to any. It's easier right now to build business than it ever has been before, but we make it difficult because of the way we perceive it. And I got this right from our incredible leader, because he said it's difficult. This is what he told me specifically. It's difficult to teach the same lessons without people having to go through the same experiences to learn those lessons. I'll never forget, you were picking up Ray Vaughn from school. And Ray Vaughn, was supposed to be outside because Mr. Self had an appointment. And Mr. Self, right, was like, okay, I'm waiting a few minutes. He realizes that he wasn't coming out. Ray Vaughn, I'm putting you on the spot. He goes inside. Ray Vaughn's having some fun with his friends. Mr. Self actually has to go and say, hey, look, I told you to be outside. I had an appointment. And Ray Vaughn was like, I heard you, kind of, and it is what I heard. Like, you know how kids get to the point, like, and so Mr. Self said at that point, he got a little upset and had to grab him by his shirt. And he was like, get off my shirt. He's like, that ain't your shirt, that's my shirt. I bring this up because he's a grown man now, top executive in the company, right? He's sitting here, learned the lessons, went through the top things in order, right, to now be having a seat at the table, but he had to go through those experiences because Ray Vaughn had certain experiences and liberties that he didn't understand, and his dad was saying, the only way I'm able to provide for you, the way that I provide for you, is that I'm on time for these appointments. My integrity goes before me. Everybody with me?
Yep.
So I want to share that with you today because I need you to understand that now it's time for each and every one of us to look at the business the way that we desire to build it, not for what we perceive it to be currently, and I believe each and every one of us can go to the next level. Thanks a lot.
Some of my first events that I went to, and I made a commitment when I went to my first big event that I was never going to miss a big event, no matter what happens, because this could just be just another weekend, and it is for most people that are not here, right? But for all of us that are here, it's going to be an extremely impactful weekend. So I just made a commitment I was never going to miss a big event, no matter what. $1,000 airline ticket, I'm going to go build my business, I'm going to put it on a credit card. You know, I'll miss a meal, but I'm not gonna miss a big event. And things never happen as fast as we want them to happen too. So I ended up at the next event, I had 6 associates on my team with me, and I thought things were gonna explode. And then the next big event after that, I had 8 people on my team with me. So it didn't go from like 6 to 30. You see my point? So just don't think that things are always gonna happen as fast as you want them to happen, and the people that get us here may not get us to the next level. So we need new people. In respect to being a gentleman, I learned something that was very valuable as I was planning my schedule. Like I looked at the months ahead, I would sit down with my spouse and I would say, hey, I'm planning the next few months ahead, but I wanted to make sure that I put us and you in there first. So I wanted to check in with you on this calendar. When can we book some things out together? And that makes the spouse feel more significant, like they matter. Another thing is, remain to them who you were to them before Legal Shield. Because I don't know about you, when I got started with Legal Shield, I was so gung-ho, I was so excited, all I talked about was Legal Shield all the time. So all of a sudden, to a friend, I became the Legal Shield guy. Man, you're always talking about Legal Shield now. So just remain to people who you were to them before Legal Shield, especially when it comes to the spouse, because they may not be as interested in this as you or I are. Does that make sense? So one great thing to talk about though more is, what is our dream? Where do we want to go? Where do we want to end up? So that they can get in tune with, he's on this level of wanting to build something better, wanting to build something greater for our family. And that's all I have for you. Thank you so much.
But what's my dream? Right? Because I can't put off on Tommy Sardine with my dream, because I could talk about helicopters and planes, but that's not his. If his is to give more, to donate more, then he feels like, I can't relate to this crowd. So the key is, I hope that you wrote down too, dream building, because some of us have stopped dreaming. And we're just trying to qualify. We're just trying to hit a level. And I know the only reason that we continue to stay motivated every day is because our dreams are key. And it's just a reminder for me that, have I taken my dreams to the next level? You know what I mean? If it is a house, have I gone to that next house? Anyway, appreciate you, Mr. Sardine. Let's give it up again. Tommy Sardine, appreciate you.